Hello everyone, it's Shani here. I just thought I would do a quick FLP walkthrough of how I made Adrift because I've received a lot of questions about how I made it. So yeah, I just thought I'd go through it quite quickly and just show you how I did the instruments and stuff and what I actually did. The song itself really didn't take me that long to make, probably like a day or two if I remember correctly. And then the rest of the time was just spent like editing and, you know, some tweaks and mastering and blah blah blah. With this song I really wanted it to be very chilled out, quite melodic. I wanted it to be kind of similar to the artist CMA. Like his music's very atmospheric and quite chilled and uses a lot of like pianos and things like that. So I wanted mine to be really dreamy and really chill and quite emotional, because yeah, I like emotional stuff. So my main instruments for Adrift were piano, obviously, strings, some guitar type of plugin and a harp, which I'll go through those here. So with the piano, first of all, the piano that I use is on Contact, is called Emotional Piano. There probably are better pianos out there, better piano plugins I mean, but I really like this one. I have a lot of Contact plugins. They've cost me way too much money. I just have so many. I really like Contact plugins. I think they're really, really cool. And they're just easy to use, I think, and I think they sound good as well. So yeah, I used Emotional Piano. I really like this plugin. It has a lot of different settings on it. I use, like, for example, on my other song Only You, I used the Muddy 78. It gave it like those stereo crackles and pops in the beginning when I used the piano. So yeah, so in the intro, my main instruments, I have the piano, and in terms of settings, all I did was I just added some EQ, got rid of the low end, boosted the high end a little bit, added some reverb, just a little bit, some delay bank, tiny amount of ping pong, and some stereo shaper, just so that it was a bit wider in the mix. On this pattern as well, I also have a Nexus sine bass, just to add some low end into it and give it a nice intro. During the beginning I had it fade in as well, so I faded in the volume of the piano, the volume of the bass, and the volume of these little random piano-y bits that just add a little bit of an extra melody. So yeah, like all together, that's how you get the intro. Another thing as well with the piano, I'm really fussy about making it, or trying to make it sound as real as possible, as natural as possible. I do have a piano behind me, but I'm too lazy to actually play and then, you know, put it in and stuff. I can't be asked. So I spend a lot of time instead tweaking the plugins that I already have. A lot of people have already said this before. I'm sure everyone's heard it in terms of trying to make their instruments sound real, but when it comes to making a piano sound natural, obviously a real human playing it wouldn't be able to play it perfectly on time with the same velocity every single time they hit a chord. So if you deliberately delay a couple of notes, that makes it sound a lot more natural. And also playing around with the velocity, I spend a lot of time messing with the velocity and messing with the delayed notes as well. It just gives it a bit more of a natural, softer feel. So yeah, so that's my intro. I did tell you what bass I used, didn't I? Yeah, Nexus sine bass. So that's my intro. I then had some, like, you know, transition effects. I think I had a 808 kick that I just like I put the out up, I made it, like, you know, shorter, and I made it a little bit whatever, and then I reversed it so that it has like a bit of a build-up effect. And then I also have a cashmere symbol transition. This is where the my pattern changes a little bit. So in pattern 2 I added some strings. I never name my stuff, so I never know what they are. I just have to try and remember, because I'm too lazy to name my shit, but then it always comes back on me because I don't remember, so I'm just my own worst enemy. Anyway, strings, I think I used Orchestral Essentials, another plugin. I really like Orchestral Essentials. I have the 1 and the 2. They cost me way too much money, but I think they sound really nice. So for this pattern I added in some strings, have the piano, and I have the bass. In terms of the strings, what I added, I really don't add that many you know, effects and stuff to my, like, especially my Contact plugins. I think they sound really nice and quite natural on their own. I just added some EQing to get rid of the low end, and to boost the mids, and reverb and some stereo shaper. Once again, I didn't want it too forward in the mix. I wanted it quite wide. So yeah, I just added in the strings. And then I also have a guitar sound from Nexus, which is the GT Quadro layer. Make sure that the, you know, I can't remember the name, the legato thingy, so that it slides from one note to the other is on, because that gives it a really nice feel. So yeah, so there's all 3 of those together, so the strings and the guitar, and the piano and the random piano-y bits. This bit here, I just basically copied this guitar pattern and then changed it, so I made it unique. You just gotta make it unique, and I changed the pattern a bit so that it sounds a little bit different. Added a cymbal transition, and then this is where you started adding the harp and the kicks and the percussions and all of that shit. So my piano pattern changes once again. So I had the strings, but I also added a bit of a melody into the strings. So yeah. And then I also added a harp. So what is this? Oh yeah, okay, I'll get to that in a second. I can't remember anything. So I also added a harp. It is Elysium harp from Contact. I love Contact plugins. Elysium harp, was it? Yeah. So I think the Elysium harp sounds really nice. I don't use it anywhere near as much as I should, really, because it has a lot of nice settings, so I always like a chance to use it. But I think I've only actually really used it 3 times. Like this song, I used it with Ascent, and oh, did I? Yeah, I did. And then I also used it with The Dream, which was like my housey type song. But it sounds cool, and it has a lot of settings as well. So yeah, so I have that pattern, which is just an ARP. I'm really lazy with doing ARPs. Like, I don't draw this myself. I just add in the chords and then tools and arpeggiate and just mess around with that, because yeah, whatever. So it sounds nice. terms of settings on the track, so I panned it to the right a little bit, did some EQ, some reverb, and then I also added another reverb. I don't know why I did that. Did a delay bank and a stereo shaper as well, so that it sounds, and I also put it more to the right as well, because I wanted it more on the right, because I think I have the strings on the left or something. I can't remember my rationale behind that. So yeah, and then also the perks. So for the perks, I just have a whatever that is, a kick, and snare. I think I added some reverb on the snare. Yeah, I did. And then I have these snappy things, which I added some delay to and some reverb to, and that's what this is. So I have it so that the volume automates, so it's quite quiet in the beginning. So yeah. So all together. Anyway, so for the build, I was really stuck on what to do here. Like, I didn't know whether I wanted a really cool snare roll with lots of like snares and shits and, you know, all of this like noise and crashes and stuff, and I just, all I did was I basically repeated the first bar from the melodic pattern, so just like the piano, the strings and the harp and the guitar, and I just repeated those, but I didn't know what I wanted to add to it, and I was really stuck with it, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it because I can't be bothered. I'm really lazy when it comes to making music. Like, I really, obviously, I don't know, if I get stuck on something, I just think, you know what, actually it's okay the way it is. Because, yeah, whatever. So yeah, I just have the first bar repeating pretty much. Because then everyone's like, oh, I really like this this build, and I'm like, oh, thanks. So yeah, and then obviously a simple transition, and then the drop comes in. So with the drop, the three main instruments are still there, so you still have the piano, you have the strings, you have this guitar thing, and the harp. So four main instruments then, I guess. The only thing that I added was obviously a sub bass, which I added a kickstart on as well. What actual sub did I use? I used Serum, just the actual preset sub, and did some EQ, kickstart, sidechained it to the kick as well. So the chords, I also have some really quiet saw chords from Silent. I just used like a tropical pad or something. Oh yeah, that's cool. Tropical pad. In terms of settings on that, I had it really quiet. I didn't want it too loud. I also made it full on stereo. Some EQing just to get rid of the low end, and kickstart and sidechain to the kick, blah blah blah. This here is just the pianos and the strings, but without the sub that I had in the beginning, because I added a different sub there. The guitar, obviously, and then the leads. So the leads are the main top melody that you hear in the drop. So with those, so let's deconstruct those a bit. So they're all silent. Lead the absolute. I can't remember where I got these from. I think I was looking at, I can't remember. Anyway, so there's three different type of leads, which I then obviously put on tracks, added some effects, and then just routed them all to a normal leads bus. On the leads bus, I have some EQing to get rid of the low end, and I also have D-Blue glitch. So this is just to add the gator, which gives it that sort of obviously gated, stuttery pattern. I added some reverb, and obviously kickstart is what gives it the ghost kick side chain. And then it's obviously sidechain to the kick, and then The other thing I added were these reverby claps. I panned them from left to right, so I reversed this one and panned it from to the left, and then this one it pans to the right, so it gives it like the whoosh from left to right feel. So yeah, and then so that's the second verse or whatever, I didn't really change much. It was just the piano, same chords, so literally the same pattern from the beginning. So it has the sub, like the Nexus sub, the piano, and that's it. And then I added some random piano bits. With this one I just had like one note repeating, and then added like some So in the second half I put the repeating notes an octave lower, just to change it up a bit, and then I had one of those like trilly things like here. I like a trill, they sound nice. So that is literally just a second. And then I just have basically the long build up again. So the piano bits, the guitar, the 808 kick. I just don't have the like the gachu kick and the perks and everything. And then obviously the repeated build, and then the second drop. So for the second drop, the first half of it is exactly the same. I then repeated it and changed the lead sound. So yeah, the lead pattern is different. And then the end is literally just yeah, and that is Adrift. So it is, I didn't use a lot. Patterns, I don't have that many, like not that many at all. I don't know how many that is. And tracks as well, I use like what, 20, so not that many. I don't put a lot of settings and stuff on my songs. Sometimes I do, it depends on the song, I guess. Like my next song that I'm gonna release is more like old school melodic dubstep, and that did have a lot of stuff, and it drove me absolutely nuts to make it. But yeah, you'll hear that next month. So yeah, this is how I made Adrift. I don't know if this video has even been helpful or worth anything, but at least you got to see how I made it. So yeah, thank you for watching if you did watch, and stay tuned for some more music. Also, let me know if you like these FLP walkthroughs, because if you do, I'll probably add one, like I'll probably do a walkthrough for like all of my songs, just to show you how I made them, like a couple days after I release one or whatever. So yeah, let me know, and yeah, see you soon.